Is a national broadband network good or bad for us? Or is it just ZTE's model which is the problem? Who is wrong or right? Meralco, Napocor, Congressman Villafuerte? Is there a rice shortage or not? Is cyber education indeed the silver bullet to our worsening public schools problem? What is needed is to separate the noise from the reality, fiction from fact, the truth from the agenda. For the sake of the nation, it is important that vital issues are raised to a higher level of intellectual discourse and discussion. The challenge, I believe, is for UP, a bastion of critical analysis and the search for knowledge and the truth, to contribute to the debates and take positions on issues. The paper called Lacking a Backbone of Drs. Raul Fabella and Emmanuel de Dios provided the intellectual basis for the opposition against the National Broadband Cyber Education Program. We need more of these. We need your studies, your research, your contributions, your leadership. Second, UP's contributions cannot and must not remain purely intellectual, detached, sterile, or academic. They must stimulate or be backed by action, albeit action guided by appropriate and adequate knowledge. Simply put, the university must be involved in the reform movement itself. Now is not the time to stand by. We must all come down from our Ayala skyscrapers or ivory towers and join the battle. The forces of wrong, cynicism, and despair are strong and powerful, and we must join forces to fight the good fight. Allow me to make a concrete suggestion. If we agree that corruption is at the root of most of our country's problems, if we agree that corruption has become so rampant and pervasive that it dissipates our nation's developmental resources at an unprecedented scale, if we agree that we cannot tolerate such a situation continuing with no end in sight, and if we agree that it is time for all concerned parties to try to do something about this cancer that is destroying our nation's soul, might it not be worthwhile to harness the energies of vital sectors in Philippine society in one massive, focused effort to address this issue once and for all? In the same vein as developed countries have addressed major problems like HIV/AIDS, cancer, and global warming by harnessing their best brains and devoting massive resources to their search for solutions, should we not attempt a similarly bold approach to our nation's cancer of corruption? Would it not be a reasonable aspiration to bring together the best brains of Philippine universities, led by UP, with the resources of the business sector, in order to develop a master plan and roadmap to fight corruption in our country? We need not reinvent the wheel, as we could start by using all relevant studies on corruption already undertaken by institutions like the World Bank, ADB, and yourselves. We could then constitute a lead group to orchestrate the effort, made up of experts in various relevant disciplines: a sociologist, a political analyst, a business executive, a progressive church leader, a local government official, a student leader, etc. Ideally, the master plan would identify the root causes of corruption and draw up a doable action plan to address the problem, perhaps breaking up the action plan into short, medium, and long-term solutions. Of course, I realize that the problem of corruption is extremely complicated and multifaceted, and any attempt to address it can easily be overwhelmed by its immensity. The challenge, I believe, is to go beyond abstract conclusions such as extreme poverty and desperation drive people to corruption, and break the problem down into components that can be dealt with: structures and procedures that help prevent corruption, and a justice system that punishes offenders and discourages crime. Here, too, the effort can start by convening a meeting among groups already involved in anti-corruption work, in an effort to learn from their successes and their failures, and use their experience and inputs as the basis for the roadmap or action plan that would be formulated. The end result should be a social compact where all major sectors of society will adopt the plan and commit to do their part. This is an effort that I believe UP is particularly well suited to lead. You have the needed human and intellectual capital. You have a long history of critical and independent thinking. You count among your alumni numerous leaders from all sectors whose support and cooperation you can muster. You enjoy the trust and confidence of our people. I can only hope that you will respond favorably to this invitation to lead this effort. Think of this as your centennial gift to the Filipino people. I can assure you that for our part, we in business, as individuals and through our organizations, like the Makati Business Club and the Coalition Against Corruption, we would be enthusiastic supporters of and participants in such a venture. I have no doubt that for such an effort, we would be able to mobilize not only significant resources, but also the active personal involvement of very concerned senior executives from our country's leading corporations. I am sure that to some, an undertaking such as this may sound very naive and quixotic. But isn't it worth the effort if the alternative is to do nothing and accept corruption as a fact of life that we must simply live with? Finally, the university's most natural resource is the thousands upon thousands of students who walk through these hallowed corridors. The future of our country depends not only on the intellectual development of youth, but also on their moral formation. We must make them not only competent in their fields of endeavor, but we must also make them good people and concerned and active citizens. They must learn to fulfill their obligations as citizens, paying taxes, caring for the environment, playing by the rules, and exercising our right to vote for our leaders. They must also understand the issues that affect our people's lives, taking positions and speaking out when needed, doing their part to help make things better by joining efforts to improve education in our country, or to fight corruption, or to propagate microfinance and micro-entrepreneurship, or to build homes for the poor, or to watch during elections to make sure voting is clean and the count is honest, or even by participating in political exercises in support of candidates or being candidates themselves. Let us make it our business not only to produce professionals who can compete with their global counterparts, but Filipinos who are aware of their rich history and culture, who are proud to be Filipinos, and will do all they can to help bring about a brighter future for our country and our people. Let us imbue them with such a passion for their country that even as millions seek their fortunes in foreign shores, they will never turn their backs on their country and will always yearn to return. If we succeed, we would transform the millions of overseas Filipinos, whom many now see as a massive brain drain, into a most valuable resource of talented and globally tried and tested professionals who, like the Chinese and Indians now returning to their native lands in huge numbers, would then constitute a powerful force for the upliftment of our society once they find a national leadership they can trust and an environment where bold initiatives and hard work are adequately rewarded. Of course, in the final tally, you can never be sure what will turn out. It seems for every hero you graduate, you also graduate a scalawag. For every saint, a devil. However, this should not stop you from fulfilling what I believe is your responsibility of mentoring your students on what is right from wrong, and as the national university, teaching them to love this country. While I know you are a non-sectarian university, allow me to quote Pope John Paul II. The role of a Catholic university, he said, and I quote, is to give corporate witness to and to promote the Church's social teaching and its moral principles in areas such as fostering of peace and justice, respect for all human life, the eradication of poverty and unjust discrimination, the development of all peoples, and the growth of human culture." End of quote. It is rather quite simple. You and I, every one of us, regardless of sector or religion, as individuals or through our organizations, I believe are on this earth to make life better for our people, our beloved Filipino people. Thank you and a pleasant afternoon to all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Del Rosario, for that challenging note. I'm sure our audience here and those in the other campuses are very eager to ask a few questions. We will entertain the questions inside the auditorium first. Since the time is limited, please keep your questions brief and direct. Raise your hands, yes, and go to your nearest microphone. State your name, college, and question.
I'm Dr. Renato Labadan. I'm the president of UNIDEB, the University Research and Resource Development, Inc. Mr. Del Rosario, my friend. Yes. We just, in the first concern that you have is education. Just like to narrate a few. In the NATS exam last year, Quezon City ranked in grade 6, number 13 out of 14 in NCR. In high school, Quezon City ranked 14 out of 14. Okay? This is in parallel to the NATS exam. We are fortunate that we made a proposal to the mayor last September. And today, we started the first batch of training teachers in the core subjects of math, English, science, Filipino. And today, we are at this building. I have 540 teachers undergoing training today, and this will be the second batch. There are 9,000 teachers in Quezon City, and we go, if we train 450 at a time, that will take us 20 batches up to 2010. So my message is that in your call, we are starting, and this is a step one for encouraging for the teachers, because if the result of the student is also related to what the teachers done. And we are very fortunate, for your information, that we have harnessed, in the first batch, we have 106 teachers from UP, UPIS, Miriam, and Ateneo. And we have all the most outstanding teachers from Metrobank who are in our faculty right now. Just for your information. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Labadan. If I may comment, one of the projects of Philippine Business for Education stems from our observation and I guess the advice of experts that the single most important factor that affects the quality of education is the quality of the teacher. And we, on the other hand, have also observed that sadly the best and brightest of our high school kids do not aspire to become teachers. For some reason, the teaching profession